A standing ovation for a man who is saving the nation, Jessica. The MAGA movement continues to transcend politics, with Trump receiving a raucous welcome at the College Wrestling Championship. Yep, the GOP wrestlers digging Trump being in attendance.
The place went absolutely nuts. President Trump came walking in. They're chanting USA, USA, USA.
The president just walking in the arena, the whole place went crazy because wrestling people are working class, middle class people. They love the president. They love his athlete's mindset, his winning attitude. So he got a great reception.
But the biggest moment came from Captain America. Wyatt Hendrickson, a second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force, saluting Trump after winning the national championship in a historic upset.
I truly felt like it was me and my team against the world, because situations like that don't turn out where, David takes down Goliath. And, I just think me and my team, we had faith, and I went out there and executed the plan and won a national title. When we talk about the final boss, like, that is my boss of my boss of my boss. So, having him be there and support the great sport of wrestling and be able to watch me, have a historic moment like that, I mean, that's something I'll remember for the rest of my life. I've always been super patriotic, and I have a heart to serve.
Jesse, Trump seems to go where the good stuff is. It's like something good's happening. He shows up there. There's a vibe. And I'm trying to figure out, I was sitting around this today. Where do the Dems go to do something like that?
It's easy. They go to the WNBA games.
Oh, okay.
Or they could just go to March Madness. They could go to the men or the women. It's so easy. I could name a ton of events. Go to the Kentucky Derby. Go to a baseball game. It's not that complicated. At this point, Trump's like running out of events to go to, though. He's going to go to Ellie and Sophie's volleyball game next week. He's going to go to the Olympics in 4 years, and he's going to want to light the torch, Jessica. He's going to want to hold the torch in L.A. You're just going to have to face it. Okay. It's going to happen. All the homeless are going to be cleared out of L.A. They're going to be going to a mega prison somewhere. Canada's going to be competing with us under the Stars and Stripes. And I think the Palisades will probably be condos under the Trump banner. I don't know why Democrats don't go to games. I used to think they just didn't want to go, or they didn't know what the game was, but now I figured it out. There are a lot of women in Congress, and women don't usually like sports. And I'm stereotyping women here,
yes,
obviously. You are. And the men you guys elect act like women. Like Schiff, he doesn't want to go see sports. So until you guys vote for guys that like sports, you're not going to connect.
Well said, Jesse.
Was it?
A voice of a generation. Jessica, I couldn't help but notice two biological men wrestling. Not a woman claiming to be a man wrestling a woman. Is that why Dems can't watch it and are sickened by the sight of Americans triumphing? Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it is.
Now it is. No. Anyway, the question is there. Somewhere.
It's somewhere in there. The answer is the reason there were no biological men there were no trans people competing is there are only 10 trans NCAA athletes. So it's the smallest little group of people. But anyway, we've already already done this 80-20 issue.
Why did you bring it up?
Well, because the facts matter, or they used to. I don't know about this week. Obviously, this is working for him. And to go back to the David Shore data that we were talking about with Gen Zs, and it should be noted as well that Gen Z women are also shifting towards more conservative. One of the rationales, which I feel like has been under-discussed, is when you look at the parents. So as a millennial, I grew up with boomer parents who are one of the most overtly liberal generations, and Gen Xers are much more conservative. And so they were probably growing up in a household that had a more conservative influence. And they're also totally coming of age during the Trump era, which Obama wasn't really a thing for them. And so they didn't have that hope and change happening. Obviously, Hillary lost, and the Biden administration, it was 91% of people listed the cost of living as their number one issue in the data that David Shore shared. And Trump ended up winning on that. So it all kind of adds up.
Well, maybe in the future, keying cars will be a sport, and then all you Democrats can go and watch it. Dana, it is funny. The guy's nicknamed Captain America. He wins the championship. It almost feels like this stuff is scripted.
Well, And that's actually an interesting point. I hadn't thought about that. But when you said earlier, thinking about where Trump goes, he goes where he knows that people are going to be, but also where you can have fun.
Yeah.
And he's smiling, and it drives Democrats crazy that he's having a great time and inspiring a younger generation. I mean, that could last a while. In this next generation that they were talking about in that data, all of them will be voters by the next election. And if they vote Republican, if you vote Republican twice or Democrat twice, you likely will do that for the rest of your life, unless there's some big realignment.
Interesting. Judge, it's also very authentic. I don't think, like, when Democrats go to places, they're pretending to be authentic, which is the opposite of authentic.
Well, you know, it's funny you should say that, because I couldn't help but think when I saw Donald Trump, you know, being cheered at this NCAA wrestling championship game, that, you know, Tim Walz was the one who said, talk about phony. He said, basically, I'm a tough guy and I can kick any of the Trump supporters' asses. That's a quote, folks. Okay? And that's just how phony the Democrats have to be to try to be a part of this. Donald Trump is naturally a sports person. He's been going to sporting events since I've known him for almost, 38 years now. This is what he loves, and they know it's authentic, and they know it's real. And, you know, when this guy Hendrickson, his second lieutenant in the Air Force, he wraps himself in the American flag. He salutes Donald Trump. They're cheering USA. I mean, this is so patriotic. This man has brought patriotism back to this country. And, you know, coming out of the Biden administration, where this cognitively declined president is always checking his watch as the coffins are coming in, or where we leave Afghanistan, and, you know, we have to leave some Americans there, but, you know, they really wanted to stay, and we leave all of the weapons for the Taliban. I mean, this is a man who is the ultimate fighter. He has the credibility, and he has done everything to support the sports, and they love him, and they will continue to love him.
All right, they're going to love him. Brings me back to my wrestling days back in the Olympics. Those were good times. I got a silver. I don't like to talk about it. Coming up, Tampon Tim admits he has an unhealthy obsession with Elon Musk.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.